Every now and then, you stumble onto something that just connects. Something that resonates so deeply that you can't help but just let it play on your heartstrings. And though The Ancient Magus Bride has certainly been a show I've been enjoying, what struck this chord for me was the OVA series that preceded it, Those Awaiting a Star. This 3-episode miniseries gives us a glimpse into the troubled childhood of the anime and manga's main character, Hattori Chise. And it's a touching narrative that, for me, hit all too close to home. And while there are so many things I could talk about and analyze in these 3 episodes, from its artwork to its music to its setting, what I think is most important to discuss is the way it connects. So, in this episode of The Storyteller's Notebook, a series in which I analyze various storytelling techniques used by various creators in various mediums, I want to talk about The Ancient Magus Bride, Those Awaiting a Star, and how it gets us to care. And yes, spoilers ahead. The Ancient Magus Bride, Those Awaiting a Star, as I mentioned, is a 3-episode original video animation, or OVA, that acts as a prequel to the main series, which itself is an adaptation of the manga of the same name. It shows Hattori Chise, a young Japanese girl being mentored as a mage in England, telling a story about her childhood to her teacher Elias Ainsworth, and Ruth, her shape-shifting dog-man friend. Chise's story follows her soon after her mother committed suicide and she was bounced around various relatives to be taken care of, stuck in a world where only she could see the true dangers lurking around every corner. However, her life took a turn when she ran into the library of the forest and met Miura Ricci, its librarian, and found a place where she could forget about all her problems. For some, this synopsis alone might start turning some emotional cogs in gears, but it should go without saying why that emotional connection is so important. It gives us something to latch onto, something to bring us into the setting and to make us actually care about the story that's being told. A whimsical world can only hold someone's attention for so long. So then, how exactly does a story, and this story in particular, make us care? Well, the simplest and most effective way to do so is to get us to care about the story's characters. And for this video, I want to focus specifically on how Those Awaiting a Star gets us to care about its main character, Chise. It begins to build this connection by giving us a clear idea of who Chise is. She is self-sufficient and sets her own schedule for the day, and though she can come off as quiet and, well, blank, her expressions are simply subtle, shown through little details like the tilt of her head or a slight blush. She's attentive to detail and quite sensitive to the emotions of others, being able to tell that Elias is not in the best of moods just by looking at him and his giant skull. She also has a cautious nature that can be seen as her being hesitant or anxious, shown by how she wants to be able to know as much as she can about magic before actually testing it out on the field, as the saying goes. And this is all shown in the first few minutes of her introduction. It quickly establishes Chise as a quiet, thoughtful, and hesitant person, giving us a fully rounded character with qualities we can admire and flaws we can relate to. It gives us a character we can connect with. But it's also aware of the fact that people don't just pop into existence when a story starts. It dives right into Chise's childhood to show us the experiences that have shaped her. As a child, she was in an abusive household with a mother who didn't want her. After she passed, Chise was stuck in a world with kids who bullied her because of it, and adults who constantly judged her for acting weird. And most horrifying of all, she saw things that no one else could see. She saw the fantastical world of magic we were enamored with at the start of the series through a distorted lens. She saw all the horrors it had to offer. She met disgusting blobs with massive gnarly teeth, surreal spirits with impossible proportions, and gargantuan monsters. Chise's childhood was traumatizing, but it is one she was eventually able to overcome. It gives her a sense of history. Even when looking at her past, there is still a sense that she has a past. It makes Chise feel grounded within this world and makes her feel real instead of just feeling like a figment of someone's imagination, as if she was someone we could actually get to know in real life. And the experiences she's gone through are ones that people can relate to, whether it be the feeling of being stuck with people who don't understand you, being constantly bullied and judged for being weird, or the feeling of being nothing but a burden, as if all you do is just bring hardship to everyone around you. These are things that a lot of people can resonate with, and is ultimately what solidifies the show's emotional connection with many of us. And even for those who don't know what those experiences are like, it's still able to clearly show how those experiences affect Chise. For the most part, it gets us to care because we've been through the same thing, and it makes us want to see Chise move past her hardships. But this isn't going to work with everyone. Some people just aren't going to be able to relate to certain characters or certain experiences because everyone's different. We've all been through different things and connect with different ideas and stories. It's impossible to get everyone to care about one single story. Those Awaiting a Star understands this and doesn't bother to try. What it does do, however, is pay off the emotional connection it's built up with those who have become invested. At the end of the first episode, Chise stumbles into the Library of the Forest, where she meets Miura Ricci, the only other person she's met up to this point who can also see the horrible monstrosities skittering around everywhere. He's kind to her, complimenting her name and giving her a library card so that she can come back if she wants to. The library acts as an escape for Chise, where she doesn't have to face the problems and worries of everyday life, until, after leaving a door open when visiting one day, the rat monsters outside manage to break in, then the library falls apart. Before he passes on, Miura asks Chise to deliver a book to a girl he knew called Miyami, someone he could have had a future with had fate not had other plans. She finds Miyami, now an elderly woman, in a hospital and returns the book. She apologizes profusely, until Miyami says that she's happy Miura was able to keep his promise eventually. After showing Chise being taken to another relative to be taken care of, we return to the present day as the miniseries comes to a close. We're given closure about Chise's story, seeing that though she has been through a lot, she will overcome it. Just like the lonely little star, Chise will eventually find someone who will light up her world, even if it does take her quite a while. It gives us a conclusion that satisfies both the narrative and our emotions, and makes our connection to this miniseries feel worthwhile. The Ancient Magus Bride, Those Awaiting a Star, is both an emotional roller coaster and a masterclass in getting an audience to care about your story. It shows that to build an emotional connection, you need to give us fleshed out characters we can relate to, and show us why they are the way they are. And sure, while some people may not connect with it, what matters is to make it clear why someone else does. After all, that's what stories are all about, connecting with others. Being able to find common ground with someone and realizing that, for as dark as the world may seem, it is filled with a myriad sky of little stars like you, just waiting to be found. And yeah, those are my thoughts. Please excuse me if I sound off, I've been quite sick the last few days. I don't know if it's a cold or if it's just my sinuses acting up, but either way, it has not been fun. But that aside, this has been a bit of a mind-boggling video to write, especially considering how emotional this goddamn OVA series makes me every time I watch it. It made it hard to properly analyze. Though, interestingly, it gets me at different parts of the series each time. Anyway, tell me what you think. If you agree, disagree, what show makes you get the feels, what characters you relate to the most, etc. And thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this and want to see more, check out my last video where I talk about why Hosokai no Kuni is so fun to watch. Or if you want a little more advice about writing characters, check out my video on Boku no Hero Academia and how it develops its characters. And don't forget to like, comment, share, and of course, subscribe to come fly with me. And hopefully, I'll see you later.